you're on defense mode because you're constantly worried about you. Like I hope, people don't think bad of me. I hope people don't get mad at me. I hope people don't think I'm a failure. I hope people don't think I look funny. I hope people don't think I'm ghetto. I hope people don't think I'm unworthy. I hope people don't think I'm unqualified. And so if that's in constant rotation in your head, I hate to break it to you, but it just means that you're selfish.
Connected to Sales Remastered.
In this episode, we're going to talk about auto-suggestion. Yep, auto-suggestion. And by auto-suggestion, I don't mean, your correct spelling, right? Spell check. I'm talking about auto-suggestion as in our internal dialogue, like what we instinctively feel when we react to certain things. And certain things could be like work, it could be, things that we love, like our family, our kids, our spouse, things that we aspire to be, maybe dreams or hobbies. And so we have this initial instinct, right? Let me give you an example. So if I tell you that, hey man, we're gonna go do this one thing, and that one thing is something that you really love, you're gonna have a completely different reaction to that than if I said, hey, you know what, we gotta sit down and have a talk, right? We gotta sit down and have a talk about where we're gonna go in a couple of days with your spouse. Then that's a different reaction, like, fuck, here we go. Right? Like you just have reactions to different reactions to different things depending on your auto suggestion. Because auto suggestion is in other words kind of like assumption, right? Like, and there's this taboo against assumption. You know what they say about assume? They say that it makes an ass of you and me, right? Like, so catchy shit about assume, and I'm sure you probably heard that shit before. Anyway, the reason why I believe auto suggestion plays a role in our lives is because auto suggestion is kind of like our energy's tour guide. And so when we go into something, depending on our auto suggestion, which basically kind of directs our energy and says, hey, so in other words, imagine auto suggestion at the door of your brain into reality, right? Like through the door is manifesting action to create reality. And so your brain, and at the door of your brain before it goes out into action, is auto suggestion, kind of like the bouncer and shit at the club checking IDs. I'm like, hey, let me see your ID. You, let me see your ID with the fucking flashlight shit. You, let me see your ID. And what auto suggestion does is it lets the brain assume what the engagement's going to be like, and so it'll let us know if it's going to be pleasant, if it's going to be a grind, if it's going to be scary, right? If it's going to be something that's tedious and you don't have the patience for it. Auto suggestion is going to kind of give you a glimpse and a sneak preview, or at least what you believe is going to be sneak preview. And I want to underline that, what you believe is a sneak preview, because you don't know yet, right? You genuinely don't know. Like, has that ever happened to you? Like, you were being called to a meeting, right? Or someone calls you to, hey, come see me. And you assume that it was going to be for bad purpose, or you assume that you're going to be in trouble, or you assume that it was going to be a grind or a fucking nightmare to engage. And what happens, like, is you go and you actually go to the meeting, and then it end up being pleasant, right? Like, your whole day shit, like, oh shit, that wasn't bad at all. Right? That was actually pretty pleasant. Or possibly it's happened where you were psyching yourself out so much, like you believed it was going to hurt, or you believed it was really going to suck. And you go through it, you're done, you're like, man, that was not bad at all. Like, I completely thought it was gonna be 10 times worse. Like, has that ever happened to you? If it has, then that is auto-suggestion. And it plays a role in other areas of our lives, most in particular with how we react to things. Because the way we react to something, right, it's basically fused with emotion. It's our subconscious that's reacting. And because little times do we use logic to react, right? You have to be in a very calm state. You have to be very methodical, and there has to be a purpose to react logically, right? Not everyone's gonna just react with logic. You have to be coherent and fully engage yourself to be logical. Like, you have to stop, assess, analyze, and you're using different parts of your brain. You're using your conscience to analyze, right? And so you're thinking, you're processing data. Whereas what I'm talking about is auto-suggestion. It's something that's immediate, and immediately determines. It's like a split reaction. It is with lightning speed. And the reason why it's important to understand is because that auto-suggestion is, you can adjust it. And the reason why you want to adjust it is because the auto-suggestion is the world's first peek of how you think, is the world's first peek of what kind of mindset you have. And so there's this saying that goes, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? Well, there's also a misconception of people thinking, well, I'm just wired this way, so that's just me. Like, I used to say that shit all the time. Like, I used to be bald-headed, used to wear nothing but white t-shirts or plain solid shirts and sneakers, right? Like K-Swisses or just all white shoes. Like, I was stupid. And I was like, hey, yeah, but that's just me. Like, nah, that was a choice, right? Like, nah, that was my choice to be like that, but I blamed it on that, that's just me, which is a topic for a whole nother video. Maybe I'll drop that one tomorrow. But if you guys don't know by now, the word of the day, which today's particular word is auto-suggestion, or topic of the day, I'm going to share in both the Breakfast of Champions as well as at Sales Remastered content for salespeople. And so in this first round, what I do is I talk about how auto-suggestion affects our own mindset, affects our own personal well-being, for kind of just like a mental state, right? Like your mindset, like Breakfast Champions is really designed for mindset development. It's to give you kind of a different view at normal everyday topics, and it's to kind of invite you to look at things a little bit different so you can have fun with it, right? And so that's the first round. That's what Breakfast of Champions is about, hence Breakfast of Champions. And so if you're a champion, you're going to take a ride with me every day and consider this our dose of hustle nutrition. This is our dose of that hustle motivation that we need to sometimes, unplug from the grind that we usually, look forward to on our drive to work, right? Like, you might be listening to music or Coast FM and shit, or Coast 103.5. Like, you're listening to your dad's channel and shit. That was my dad's channel, I know that. But you're listening to that music just kind of lost in thought. Like, you hear the music, but you're really thinking about the nightmares and the processing the data that you have ahead of you. And so I invite you to try something different. Instead, play this in your Bluetooth or play this on your radio. If it keeps shutting off, and the podcast will be available soon, but if it keeps shutting off on YouTube, then you don't have YouTube Red. If it's not worth the $8 to invest into YouTube is just a plethora of resources, right? Then my whole goal is to help you make enough money where you could afford the $8 a month YouTube, I expect my endorsement, my RIP, and my commission bonus tier for me whoring out and selling your service right now. I'll expect a check in the mail. Anyway, the reason why I picked auto-suggestion and why I think that it does play a role with our own, personal goals and our own personal well-being is because when you wake up today and when as you get ready, there's going to be auto-suggestion all day long that's happening in your head, right? The auto-suggestion of what kind of day you're going to have, auto-suggestion of what people will say about what you're going to wear, people will say about the cologne or perfume that you wear, right? There's an auto-suggestion of, you doing your hair. And so almost every single action, we have an auto-suggestion wired to it, triggered to it. And it's important to understand this because you need to reformat your auto-suggestion if you find yourself always in defense mode. And so if you're constantly expecting the worst, right? If you in other words, if you like right now, like I'll use getting your hair ready, right? Like if you're doing your hair and shit, and you do your hair and you're just thinking in your head like, oh man, people are gonna talk shit because of this. People are, what are they gonna say because of that? It's that in itself is a fucked up auto-suggestion, right? It actually shows you where your mindset's at, and it gives you a clear view of how either you're on offense or you're on defense. And you might hear me like, offense, defense, bro, what are you talking about? This ain't a sports game, bro. And what I'm talking about by offense and defense is that when you go about your day and you're in defense mode meaning you're closed off, right? So you're closed off and you're kind of living an experience that isn't true, because you're already assuming the worst. You're already kind of defending your actions when no one's testing you, but you're defending it to yourself, so therefore you're living it yourself. So if you maybe your parents might do that, maybe your spouse, maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend, they always expect the worst, right? And so if you ever heard that, like when it's just you and them, it's like, man, what did they mean by that? Or do you think that they really meant, something bad? That like they're asking you, like, hey, when that person said this one thing, what did they mean by that? Was that kind of like a subliminal jab to me? Were they talking about me? Like, that's a sign of defense, and it's horrible to live in that state, because imagine all you are doing is worried about what people think. And I personally believe that you got 24 hours in a day, boo-boo. Like, you got more things to worry about than what that person thinks. Don't care about what they think. Just care about what you think, right? And so your auto-suggestion can be reformatted in a way where you train yourself to automatically suggest that all is good, right? Like, hey, this is me. I feel comfortable. This makes me feel confident. And what happens is when you turn in the attention, or turn away the attention, I should say, from just you, because you're on defense, because everything's about you. It's just all about you, right? Like, what's in it for me FM, right? There's that radio station. And so when you're all about just you, then typically you're on defense mode, because you're constantly worried about you. Like I hope, people don't think bad of me. I hope people don't get mad at me. I hope people don't think I'm a failure. I hope people don't think I look funny. I hope people don't think I'm ghetto. I hope people don't think I'm unworthy. I hope people don't think I'm unqualified. And so if that's in constant rotation in your head, I hate to break it to you, but it just means that you're selfish. And it's not your fault, because like I was that way, and I was that way because of my circle, right? Like, to some degree, I'm still like that to today. So it's an ongoing battle. No one's perfect. So I get like that all the time. But now that I have awareness, because my mentor showed me these little tips and these little hacks, now I'm aware. And so when I catch myself in that state, I quickly correct myself and avoid going down that pit. Because if you find yourself where you're just so absorbed in thinking that everyone is against you, it comes out in your demeanor, right? Like, you're shielded off, you're isolating yourself. And when you isolate yourself, there's no stimulation. And so your brain actually shrinks, because you're not testing it, you're not growing yourself. Not only that, but you're muting brilliance. And I believe you're brilliant. And why? Is because you're here on this channel right now. So if this is your first time, please consider subscribing. Hit the red subscribe button on the lower left hand corner of this video, and there's going to be a bell that pops up. Click that bell. I'm going to notify you anytime I do an upload, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the title. If the title catches your eye, I invite you to go check out the video. Not only that, but please watch it all the way through the video, because I do these very improv, right? These are just improv. I just hit record and I go. And usually the first minute or two is kind of like a warm-up. And I notice that it gets a little bit meatier, and it gets a little bit craftful, right, towards the end. And the real meaning and purpose actually comes out towards the last couple minutes. But again, it depends on your patience. And so if you listen to the first minute, you're like, I gotta go, right? You're not necessarily going to catch the full message. And so I invite you to watch it all the way through. And if you like that full video, then click to the next video on the, on the preview tab on the left right here. Like, it goes up and down. Just go and scroll. Go like scroll. And whenever you see my handsome face, go and click on it, and then take a ride with me. Because my goal is to help you look at things in a different way, so you're better prepared for the day. And I'll see you at the top. Bye.